Welcome back to the motherfucking podcast, guys.
What's up? I'm Stephanie.
I'm Lacey, and this is
I guess when did that become the mood for no, that's always been.
It's always been the mode like, whoa. Like just came
it's
out.
always been a Anyway, hello guys. Today we have on Faith, and Faith reached out to us because she is undergoing was undergoing at the time ketamine nasal spray therapy for major depressive disorder and
fibromyalgia.
Well, it wasn't for motherfuck.
Fibromyalgia.
I think I'm like, what the fuck? Fibromyalgia is literally what I want to say. I can't say it. I'm gonna say fibro. Yeah. And that was kind of like a sub thing that was just, she also has, but the ketamine nasal spray therapy was helping with it as well. And I thought that was so interesting because, I mean, anytime I've only ever seen ketamine be used as a party drug, and I know that, you know, it is used for other things, but I've never done it, but I've just seen people doing it.
It's intense.
And I'm like,
the intense
they're like
party goers that are using it.
And they're like passed out on the couch or like dumb. And I'm like, okay, so this doesn't, like, I don't ever want to do that. And when she reached out about it, I was like, oh, okay, so damn. Like, that sounds, I don't know anything about that. And so we brought her on, and it was so interesting. Like,
I loved her so much.
Yeah, she was, also, it's just, I didn't know anything about fibromyalgia. I didn't know anything about it, and it's sad. Yeah, because basically what she described us is that she is in constant pain. No matter, it could be her crossing her legs, it could be her sitting back in the chair. Like, I asked her, like, you know, are you in pain right now? And she said yes.
And stress flares it up.
Like walking in the grocery store and cold hitting your body when you're passing the freezer, and it's just like, wow. And I didn't think that, I know that chronic pain and illnesses are, you know, a thing, but you really, I just feel, it made me feel like I take for granted every single day feeling well. And we also, you know, talked about like just all the ins and outs with major depressive disorder and suicide, and it's just like, I don't think people know enough, and I don't think they have enough empathy for it, because like, even like my ex had bipolar disorder and depression and anxiety, and I still feel like even now, you know, as much as I studied him every single day to where the tone of his voice could change, and I would be like, okay, what was about to happen? Yeah. Like, and I don't even feel like I had enough empathy then like I do now. Because, like, looking at back at it, and, like, even how I thought my thought processes going through it then, I was just like now I look back and I'm like, damn, like, I have educated myself enough now and, like, put my empathy and I just feel like I'm way more emotionally intelligent now than I even was last year. And thinking about it now, I'm just like, damn, I didn't even have enough empathy then. Yeah. And you don't realize it, but it's just like crazy that, I don't know, it's heartbreaking too, because it's just like, you want, like, but she's on her, like, journey to, like, figuring this out, and she is doing so much better. And it's like really interesting. But I like one part that I'm glad that she kind of described to us is there's like 3 different types of depression that you could have, like major depressive disorder, depression, and something else. Because I've always been curious, because I feel like I went through a depression a couple years ago, but I was always hesitant to use that word because I was like, I know people actually like chronically or like have it. And I was like, that was only for like a period in my life. So it was such a weird period. It was like, I still have a text message saved from you, like, from so long ago. It was just like, but you're like so different now. Like, you've come out of the darkness with it. You worked on it. You know, I mean, we talk a lot about psychedelics in this episode and the healing benefits of psychedelics in general. And one of the causes of my depression, obviously there was a lot of environmental factors like
family, no friends, and like not really feeling like I had a purpose and like I belonged to the influencer modeling industry. So there was that, but like a huge, like the major part of why the depression was caused was birth control. And I was taking it incorrectly. Like,
how are you taking it incorrectly?
So let me just describe this. So there's 4 weeks in the pill packet, but the 4th week is just a sugar pill. You don't even have to take the 4th week because that's when you're supposed to menstruate. It's basically giving your body a break. So my little dumbass like was basically skipping the 4th week and going straight into the next packet. I wasn't giving my body a break.
I forgot.
And I did that for 4 consecutive months. I didn't have a period for those months. And I actually, like a girl told me to do that. And it kind of planted a seed in my head because I was like fearful of getting pregnant, like at that time of my life. LOL.
I'm like, wait, what?
And it like completely destroyed like my mental health. Like I didn't even know I was depressed though, but it was, you know, a lot of the way that people describe depression is you feel like you're in a bubble and you cannot get out of it. Like my anxiety was super bad. I was crying all day, every day. I was very tired. I like was having anxiety attacks. I was having night terrors, waking up literally drenched in sweat. And so like the one time I actually opened up to my partner about it, things escalated, and it's not his problem. It's just another situation, like kind of how you're saying you didn't have enough empathy. I don't think his was like an empathy problem. I just don't think he was well equipped to handle a situation like that, and he didn't know what to do. And people, anyways, he was trying to find the best plan for me in that moment. And we get connected to the LA mental health department, and basically a psychologist and a social worker show up. He's the one that actually like handled all of that stuff while I was inside. And this was like late at night. And so they come in at like midnight. They interview me. I had no idea. I was super honest, super vulnerable. I was expressing like that I did have suicidal thoughts and I like wanted to go home. Completely different state of mind than I am now. It's like, it's weird to think about that my brain was literally like torturing myself. You know, I constantly thought that I was a burden on people. And basically what that is called is a 5150. I didn't know that. I was like, it's from the state or whatever. At the end of the interview, they go, okay, well, we're going to take you in. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, who should I call in the morning? They're like, no, we have to go in right now. And I was like, huh? It's 1 a.m.
So this was all on the same night that you like opened up to him about, you're like, oh, I am depressed and I'm having suicidal thoughts. And he was like, oh, let's just call the hotline.
Yeah, he wanted to call a suicidal hotline. And I was like, I don't need that. Like, I don't have a plan to commit suicide. The thoughts are intrusive though. Like, it's just, those are there. And so, yeah, basically.
I didn't think that they had to take you in.
Well, they said because you called us and we're from the state, we are now by law liable for whatever happens to you. So like if I would have hurt myself that night, they're liable for it.
Wow.
So we fought them for 2 hours. I lost.
I wish that you could have signed something.
Oh, I know. And that's where our thing is. Like we were like, you should have told us these like whatever, you should have told us up front before I was just vulnerable with you, because like going into a mental hospital institute, I don't even know what it was. I don't know where it was. Isn't good for my health to go in at 3 a.m. and just wait for a psychologist to...
In a room.
Yeah, right. So I get taken in 3 a.m. They make me take an ambulance. And I was like, I'm not paying for this shit. Yeah. I was like, I'm not paying for this shit. And I was like, you better call your boss right now, because like, I'm not paying for this. I didn't order it. I don't need it.
They can't do that, can they?
Yeah. I had to I got on the ambulance. They're mad. And I go and sit in the ambulance.
Why couldn't a policeman taking you?
My partner tries to get in. They start yelling at him because he's not related, or like he's not married to me. And then the person driving turns around, looks at me or whoever was in charge of the ambulance. He's like, you have to get in the stretcher. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, fine, you could have just asked. So I'm
you got in a stretcher?
I was in a stretcher and I was looking at the ceiling like with my hands crossed. Like, I was so mad. And so when I get there, they take everything off of me. Like the strings of my sweatshirt, like phone, money, hairband, hair ties. Like they strip everything. I had to do like a drug test, pee test. And then I had to wait for a psychologist to see if I needed medication.
Wait, no, because you waited that whole time to see the psychologist, and then
it was a fucking Skype call. I was like, what?
And you were like in there with people that were like kind of like,
oh yeah, I mean there was a lot of homeless people in there because, like, you know, if you see a homeless person tripping on the side of the road, it's a 5150. You go get the homeless person. That's what that's for.
Tripping on the side of the road,
or like not tripping, but like geeking out, like something like
over, like
whatever. It's 5150s are called for people that are harming themselves or others.
Okay.
Or there might be suspicions that might happen. I was like so mad because in that interview, the psychologist was like, oh, well, it seems like you just need to get some hobbies, like get yourself a good support system, like talk therapy might be good for you. Maybe you should try different birth control. And I was like, no offense, but you made me wait in here for 12 hours just to tell me exactly what the fuck I was going to do anyways.
Wow.
I was so mad. And so I guess that was kind of like a little traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Because like in a way, like I don't really want to tell people how I feel.
And this is why I'm glad that we did this interview, because it's just like, it's another way it's just another type of treatment that people don't know about that might haven't experienced these thoughts. I mean, like, not that I know yours was very situational and you don't deal with that now. Yeah. But whenever I got with my ex, he couldn't, because, you know, he was super open about his bipolar disorder and depression and everything. And I was like, I've never had a suicidal thought. I've never, ever had that. And he could not understand that. And honestly, 90% of my friends can't. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I can't imagine even saying that. Like, I just am like, you know what I'm saying? So like that, we were coasting through that. And then one day it happened, and I was in the shower, and I was thinking about drama. And at the time, I had been taking maca and birth control at the same time. And I don't know why I was doing both. I don't understand. What the fuck was I doing? Maybe maca was like, wait, and then like, I don't know. But I was taking them both at the same time, and I was in the shower. And I remember putting shampoo in my hair and like rubbing it through, and I was thinking about like drama with like a friend or something like that. And then this voice came in my head, and it was like, or you could just kill yourself. And I was like, oh. And I stopped it's like my brain switched into overdrive, and it was like, it's because you're doing this and this. And I stopped taking the maca. And then I realized, I was like, the maca goes against the birth control. They both like counter, like do against what the other's trying to do. Because maca is like helpful to make you like more fertile and stuff like that, which is not what I was using it for. And then the birth control obviously doesn't. So it's like, but that's the only time I've ever experienced that. And I was, in that moment, I was so scared. So I was just like, people hear that voice all day, every day sometimes. And I just can't, and I sympathize with that because I heard it once and I was like, oh, the fuck.
It's scary. Like during that time of my life, like I haven't really thought about this in a while, but it's just like everything was my fault. Like it would be better if I left. I'm a burden. Nobody needs me here. I mess everything up.
Yeah, I remember you being that way. And I remember you saying that to me one time. I was like, what are you talking about?
I know. It's just like everything was my fault. Like, and I was just like, truly, I felt like I needed to leave. Like, I truly felt like I didn't belong here and I messed everything up. And like, everything was my fault and everybody would be better if I was not here.
That's so...
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. And it's just... Mental health needs to be like... We need to be learning more about that in school. Like, very much so. Not only learning more about mental health, but how to be there for people that are dealing with those specific things. How to respond because I don't know how to do that sometimes. Like even like with my ex, like I did all I could and that wasn't even enough. Like I look back on even the things I would say and I'm like, I shouldn't have said that. Like And it's just, you just don't know. And like, you can, and the patience runs thin with that because my patience ran very thin with that because I didn't know enough and I didn't empathize enough and because I didn't know enough. And so, yeah, it just kind of knowing now and like kind of like learning about like Faith and her journey and like the things that she's going through, because it's not only major depressive disorder, it's also chronic fucking pain. And so it's just like, wow, it's inspiring to hear that what she's gone through and like what she continues to go through and like what she's doing to kind of like work with it, and it's eye-opening.
Yeah, I really appreciate this episode for so many different reasons.
Yeah, it hits a lot of chords with like what we've gone through, just like, you know, even with like psychedelics and everything, just another respect for plant medicine.
Yeah, like she
didn't know I could respect her anymore, but
here we are.
Yeah, so, you know,
she does it yet again.
She does it. And then I'm like, wait, I just remembered the term mushroom daddy for a second too. Anyway, like, it was kind of
I'm going to type that in on Instagram and see if that's anyone's handle. And
if not, we're taking it. I just want to take
Mushroom daddy.
Mushroom daddy. Okay, anyway. Okay, guys. Well, we're going to hop in the episode because it's real good.
Yeah. Without further ado,
here we go.
Now for a quick commercial break.
Oh my god.
We're going to be talking about Neft vodka. You've heard it once, you've heard it twice, you've heard it a couple of times.
We like this shit.
Yeah, but it's the holiday season, and I like to host. Like, I really do.
You're a hoster.
I am too. You are too. I mean, hosting low-key ain't cheap, but it's fine.
It's really not.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I'll pay for a good time.
Yeah, same. So as far as alcohol goes, I'm bringing Neft with me.
Yeah. I mean, it comes in a barrel. Like, it's cute.
I love a good liquor.
Yeah, and it's just like at the table, you're just like, what the fuck is that? I haven't seen really anything. I haven't seen a vodka in a barrel yet, and that's kind of what got me on it.
That's a world competition winning vodka right there.
Oh yeah, it was in like 2018, 2019 or something. We like memorized it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe I can spice my eggnog.
Is that what you put in there?
I don't know.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. I like that I can drink it straight. I don't really go for vodka. I don't really go for much, but I can drink it straight and like, or I can mix it with something and it's not a big deal. I'm not a little bitch about it, and I always prefer that, you know? So yeah.
Well, that's Neft. We'll leave their info down below if you would like to check them out.
And bye.
Back to the show. Welcome back, guys.
Hi.
Today we have on Faith, which you were connected with Faith.
We were connected with Faith. She reached us on the podcast.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I just feel like you.
But who'd you know first?
I had seen Lacey on America's Next Top Model years ago.
Flipping the table.
Oh my god! Wow.
I heard both of you, and like then it all came together. You know.
Cute. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess Faith. We have you on for like a very specific reason that is super interesting. But before we kind of get into it, tell us about yourself. Like, where'd you grow up? Where are you based now? What's that?
Well, so I grew up in Indonesia, actually. It's like the little islands above Australia. So I was a missionary kid there until I was about 15 years old. And then I moved to America, spent some years in Delaware, and then I moved out to California when I was like 22, actually, to work more with cannabis and stuff. And then I ended up getting into Montessori schooling and life coaching and different things.
Oh, what a life.
Like teaching at Montessori schooling?
Yeah.
What is Montessori? Montessori.
Montessori is like more
what is
art-based type of teaching, right?
Yeah, definitely. They it's kind of like the kids lead the way. So like we just like kind of there's all different types of activities and like work that the children have to do throughout the week, and but they do it at their own pace, and we learn like their different learning styles, and it's much more emotional awareness based, which I didn't have as a kid. So it's like been really healing to like.
I know. I want that for my kids, but they're hard to get into.
Yeah,
right?
I've heard that. I kind of like, I started working with like an after school program, and then I worked my way into teaching art classes with the children, and then now I'm going to be like half in the classroom, half out. And
what age is this?
It's like between like 2 to 14 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because the different hobbies they'll come up with and stuff during breaks, and like we'll have like 3-year-olds like working on like knitting projects and stuff, because it's just like there's nothing holding them back. They're like, oh, I want to do this, I'm gonna try that, and we're like, yeah, let's make it happen. Like,
yeah.
Wait, so like what's like the basis of like how different it is from like normal schooling?
I would say definitely a lot more. There's multiple teachers in the room usually at once, and so they kind of like knock down the authority in the way of like it's like they want to make sure that kids feel open and safe and able to like approach the teachers and stuff.
I love
like
that.
There's definitely authority still, but like it's more like emotional space to be like, we treat them as you like, you respect them as you would an adult. Like we don't treat them like I don't know, like it's like just making sure that the children feel capable of doing whatever they dream of, and just making sure like that they have outlets for their different struggles, and they're aware of their anxieties, they're aware of like creativity, and like making use of what they have around them. So we stick to limited things and stuff in the classroom, and certain types of toys, and being mindful of like not having like mermaids and stuff for like the 3 and 4-year-olds, because like their imagination is so active at that age. You need to stick to realistic ideas and like different things like that to make sure that they just are prepared for like real life.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of life skills work.
Wait, so no mermaids?
Yeah, wait.
Why are you taking away the
It's like mermaids and unicorns can come later, but it's like at the young age, like before 7 years old, mainly it's like kids can be very imaginative, and they can like just like mix up like with movies and stuff, like unrealistic standards for the world and like what's out there and stuff. So it's like educating them on just like what's actually in this reality and stuff. And although I like to believe that mermaids and unicorns are like out there somewhere, I have to hold that to myself.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, also imagine telling people that you were born in Indonesia.
Yeah, that's always
just like
a different one. Yeah.
Wow.
How was that? Because I mean, the United States is completely different.
But you weren't there for a long time, were you?
15?
All of the formative years, like until like 15 years old, and then I moved to America like in 10th grade. So everybody already had their cliques and stuff in 9th grade.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I still experienced culture shock here and there, and moving to California on my own was like really freeing and liberating, and just like something I was doing for me, because all the other times I moved for my parents or with them. And
where are they at now?
They're actually in Maryland area.
Oh, okay.
So, but because of COVID, they used to be in Indonesia half the year, America half the year. So they would live half and half, and then now they are just stateside for further notice. Yeah.
I want to visit Indonesia really bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's a different culture. Would you move back there?
I want to at some point. They have a lot of holistic things like in Bali area and stuff, and I would like to go there for like 6 months or so, just on my own, to have like independent time to live over there and learn more and reconnect with like the culture there. And but I grew up on West Java in an area called Bandung. It's like 3 hours from the capital, Jakarta, and I went to an international school there, and yeah, so it was a lot different than what I experienced in America.
Wow.
You know what's interesting? I know you said that you watched me on America's Next Top Model. When I was like actually relevant, I had a huge following from Indonesia, Jakarta.
What? There's like
I was part of it.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
How old
I
are
was
you?
living in Indonesia, or like I was up until 15, so 2012ish. I forget what year you were on there.
I was on in 2015, so maybe you're over
okay.
here.
Yeah, I definitely watched it like the America's Next Top Model in general when I was over there. But
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, I was like, Indonesians like love me. I didn't know that's a huge show over there.
Yeah, they admire American culture a lot. In Indonesia, I think the entertainment industry just does that to the rest of the world through Hollywood and stuff. Yeah.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 26 now.
You're 26. So when did you get diagnosed with like major depressive disorder, and then I'm gonna try to say this, fibromyalgia? Yeah. Like, was that in Indonesia or was that
actually
after?
A lot of my symptoms started when my mental health symptoms started when I was a child, like probably around 6-7 years old, and then my physical health symptoms started around 12 years old, and then I didn't get diagnosed officially until 22. So that 10-year gap of chaoticness was a lot to handle, on top of all the culture shock and everything.
What was chaotic? Like,
Well, like so the mental health symptoms, not having words for those and having the emotional awareness and resources, outlets, that was really hard growing up. And then the physical health symptoms were hard because then I had to like stop playing sports in high school. I had to stop writing. I had to stop, eventually like in 2018, I had to stop driving because of it. So there's been like a lot of like setbacks that have happened just because of it. And then a lot of confusion of like with chronic pain and growing up, like a lot of times it'll be brushed off because it's like, oh, it's growing pains, like it'll go away when you're 25. And I'm like, okay, but I have a lot of time till I'm 25, now I'm 26, and I'm like, I've lived through it. But in the meantime, not having those answers was really, really hard.
Well, I guess so for our listeners, can you kind of explain what major depressive disorder is compared to like depression, and then what fibromyalgia is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So there's different types of depression. There's like mild depressive disorder, regular depression, and major depressive disorder, from what I understand. Major depressive is like a long-term slump, basically, and you can't climb out of it. There are ways to manage it and stuff, but I can't imagine a life without depression, like hindering over it in some way, but I'm like learning to befriend it. But so with major depressive disorder, it's typically treatment-resistant depression also. So like multiple medications. I've been tried multiple therapies, and it's just nothing is really alleviating the pain.
Oh, wow.
And then with fibromyalgia, I actually went to the Mayo Clinic for a month in 2018 to learn about it and get all my diagnoses and with the depressive disorder and everything. So with fibromyalgia, it's basically your amygdala, which is the part of your brain that does fight and flight reactions. It's kind of like, it's just, it's glitched. And so for most people, they experience anxiety and it's just a mental thing. But for me, when I experience any type of stress, it creates physical pain.
Oh,
so
my God.
These triggers go out throughout my body. To have it, you have to have 11 out of 18 trigger points. I unfortunately have 18 out of 18. And then there's a lot of other symptoms, nausea and fainting and soreness, and just like these flare points around your body that'll go off. And it can be like an emotional stress, or like in the grocery aisles, like if it's a cold aisle, like I'll walk by and the wind will come and it'll be like, that's a change of temperature, that's a stress on the body. So my brain's like, I gotta cause pain, I gotta protect you. Like it's your brain thinking that it's protecting you, but it's really like hurting your quality of life if you let it take over so much. Yeah.
So what is the pain like? Is it just an all body pain? Like if you're walking in the grocery store and the temperature changes, like what?
Yeah, it's I would say overall it's very annoying, but there's different types of it. Sometimes the biggest description of it would be a flare, but it can be an aching feeling, like a stinging feeling, like as if somebody like just punched me and I got a bruise that's forming.
All over your body or in a specific place?
Sometimes it's typically in like 3 to 4 parts of my body at once. So like, I guess like for example, right now, like, I don't know if that's too deep, but like I have like a bunch of pain in my right scapula, but also in my left knee because I have my right leg draping over and there's pressure there. But then it's also like, I'm comfortable sitting like this. So it's like, I choose my movements, but I also have to be intentional about them and be like, which pain do I want right now? Which pain do I want to manage today?
So you're sitting here in pain.
Yeah. Invisible illness can be really confusing for people. Yeah. But that's a big part of it with fibromyalgia, is that it's an invisible illness. So people don't
believe you.
Yeah.
Did your parents growing up, like what was the point that was like, something is actually really wrong?
Yeah. So it was kind of really bizarre because I also have this condition called hypermobility syndrome. So the chronic pain started with that because at 12 years old, I was involved in a lot of sports and stuff. And so I was running in gym class one day and then both of my shoulders dislocated. And then every month after that, it was like my collarbone shifted and then my ribs shifted and then my tailbone and then my knees. And so I had to stop basketball, had to stop soccer, had to stop volleyball, had to stop writing because my wrists. And so it was really confusing. And then every doctor we'd go to, they're like, oh, it's just growing pains. Like your joints are just growing into your body. And I'm like, this isn't happening to any of my classmates or anybody else my age. And so the fibromyalgia was, of course, a mystery too. Even like 20 years ago, women like me were put into like mental asylums and stuff because of it's invisible. And they're like, there's nothing on the charts. There's nothing on the tilt test. There's nothing coming up. So with my parents, like it was really confusing for them because like I look fine. And I'm expressing all of these like discomforts and pains, and the doctors are like, it'll go away, like just breathe through it, like live through it, like take Advil. And so
does Advil even help?
Not really. It's like, I don't know. Like I used it for a while. I definitely ended up abusing it for a while in college before, which it seems silly to abuse like acetaminophen and Advil and stuff, but like you can.
Yeah.
And then, so my parents, they just didn't know really how to manage it and how to really, and like every parent hates to hear that their child is hurting. So, but this past year I actually spent 10 months living near my parents to like heal that stuff and to try and understand each other and reach understanding. And of course, like I grew up as a missionary kid with them. So there's those religious differences too. And like, I always felt the guilt, like, oh, these bad things are happening to me because I'm not a Christian. And there was a lot of religious difference there. So we had to get to an understanding that like these things are happening. It's not because I'm a Christian or not. It's just, this is my human experience and you need to understand it as my parent. And so we reached a lot of growth points this year, and I'm really happy about that. And I wouldn't be where I am without them. So I'm really thankful for their understanding at their age and everything.
Wow. Well, how common is
Myalgia.
fibromyalgia? How common is it?
I wish I could say the number off the top of my head, but one big thing about it is that 1 out of 8 patients is female, and females are notoriously known for being dismissed in the medical field and for being too hormonal, too emotional, like making stuff up, even though we're not. Like the doctors assume that. So and it's really hard to tell the numbers too, because in order to get a fibromyalgia diagnosis, you have to kind of check everything else off the list. Like you don't have POTS, you don't have lupus, you don't have EDS, like all of these different conditions. It's really similar to MS. And so a lot of people will be misdiagnosed with MS or EDS, and it's actually fibro or the other way around. So there's this whole melting pot of chronic pain conditions where we're all trying to like connect and understand and gather these numbers. But I think it's probably hard to find an accurate one.
Yeah.
So wait, 1 in 8 people that are diagnosed
8 women.
Or 1 in 8 people, but one is, wait, what?
1 in 8
Did
women.
I mess that up?
1 in 8.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 people that are diagnosed.
Oh my god.
So
Are they able to edit that out?
So 8 of the 10 women
are women.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So 8
You're
out of 10. Okay, fuck it. Just look it up.
This kind of reminds me of Lyme's disease.
Yeah,
You know, it's untraceable and people don't believe you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a cure for it or no?
Nope. It's just guest check and revise kind of vibes. And it was really interesting and discouraging when I went to the fibromyalgia classes, because they spent years giving patients like me like benzos and different painkillers, and then they found out that by treating fibromyalgia with that, it was actually opening more pain pathways in the brain.
Fuck.
So the painkiller would go in and block the pain pathway, but then the brain would find another way around that. And then when you stop the painkillers, you have all of these extra pain pathways open. So for years, like not only were a lot of people like me being dismissed, but being mismedicated. And so a lot of the things they taught us in the class was like to do gentle yoga, stretching, acupressure. Deep breathing was a really big one, which seems like the most like helpless feeling. You're just sitting there in pain, like I just got to take deep breaths. That's my medicine right now. Like it can just be overwhelming because you feel like you're not doing enough, and that like that you can't get past this. Like it's just like I just have to do all these natural holistic things and hope that it manages better, because it's also it just doesn't go away. But there have been cases of people going in remission, like kind of like with other conditions, most commonly known like cancer remission, like you go out of it for a while, but then it might come back kind of thing. With fibromyalgia, it typically comes back, but people will have remission like during pregnancy or for 6 to 12 months at a time, or maybe just 1 month. But it's typically, it comes back. So it's a lifelong commitment. It's the longest relationship I'll ever have, I think, is with fibro.
And pain medication does not like help, like, or that does help, but you don't want to do that, or most people don't?
Personally, well, yeah, you're not supposed to do any benzos and pain meds. They won't help long term, and it can hurt the other organs and stuff, because we're hypersensitive people in general, fibromyalgia patients are, and so it's better to go, in my opinion, it's better to go the natural way, because there's so little known about it, and even the Mayo Clinic is like questioning still. So yeah, I try to go about it naturally. I was recommended painkillers in high school, and I told my doctor I didn't want to do that till I was 25 or so, because I knew that I just didn't feel good about it. Didn't know too much at the time in high school, but I was like, this doesn't feel right to be on a pill every day until like my brain's developed. And so then they gave me like a really strong Advil tablet, and it was like a really chunky tab. So then in college, that's when I started buying the big jugs of Advil from like Costco, and I would just take like 4 to 8 of those a day. I would take them before class, before the gym, like just to get through. And then I switched over to cannabis, and then my holistic journey started.
Wow. So cannabis helps more than Advil?
Yeah, cannabis is a lot of what I've seen in like a lot of the fibromyalgia forums of people finding relief, whether it's through CBD or THC. But typically for chronic pain, you have to have a 1-to-1 of CBD to THC in order for your endocannabinoid system to react well, because your endocannabinoid system is directly connected to your circadian rhythm, which is like your eating, sleeping, all of the basic needs of humans. Like your circadian rhythm balances that. So the more CBD you have, the more your circadian rhythm's balanced, the more you're able to balance stress. And the ultimate thing with fibro is the stress and managing stress, like making sure that you are able to flow with your life.
I love that.
I'm sorry, like I just caught myself too. Like I was like staring at her for like 5 minutes, like I'm sorry, I'm just like so shocked. Well, I have a question I want to ask. I don't know if you want to answer this or not, but what if your body's in fight or flight at random times? How is sex?
That's a question. So, I was in a long-term relationship for a while, and at the start it was like all exciting, all fun and stuff, but one of the things that I had to do was smoke before sex. And so I would have to, I would go and hit my bong, and then we'd go and have our fun time and stuff. But then after a while, I started getting sad about that, because I was like, I'm dependent on this source in order to feel what I want during this. And so that just didn't sit well with me, and so that caused like a little bit more depression, anxiety and stuff, and feeling like I wasn't enough as I am. But it was really like I was just using a resource. Like you need medicine sometimes for things, and sometimes it's a natural one.
Like also just like you would need a bong, like sometimes you need a vibrator during sex. Sometimes you just need some shit.
Like sex pillows and stuff are like highly recommended for people with chronic pain, like making sure you get like back pillows and just different like comforting things to like get around, so that you don't have to hold yourself up, because that can be a lot of the stress in it.
So there's no like spontaneous sex. It's like you have to like.
Oh, for me there is.
But okay. Well, I didn't know if it would be like painful.
Like also like just making sure you're in a balanced relationship where you truly feel emotionally safe with the person, because that emotional stress will cause more physical pain. So if you're feeling obligated into sex or pressured, or you feel like I owe them that, like it's not going to go well, because your brain's already stressed. The flares are going to come. So it's really taught me to like be more do what I want sexually, and to be more outspoken. And I grew up with a lot of religious trauma around sex, so like personally I didn't even like masturbate till I was like 25.
Oh wow.
Like it was really hard for me to even get in that zone, and so I had to like calm my mind and like learn how to relax and learn how to be comfortable, like learn about pheromone oils and different resources that I needed. And I'm like, it's okay, this is just my journey and how I need to figure it out.
Wow, that I love that you like were so open about the religious like trauma.
Religious trauma is a good sub thing of complex PTSD. So
wow, because I grew up like no sex until marriage, and that was like a whole journey in itself. But I also, while you were talking about like experimenting with cannabis, going from Advil to cannabis, I have like thoughts, because my stepmom actually was dealing with something was really. It was painful and she needed surgery, but she didn't have time to get surgery. So she kept popping like a ton of Advil. Popping is not the right word, but
it sounds silly, but I relate to
it. And you really have to be careful, because it ended up burning a hole in her stomach. Yeah. They're that acidic. So like guys out there listening, if you need Advil, I would just say you have to eat beforehand to be careful with it. But when you're talking about transitioning into cannabis, we grew up in Arkansas, and it's like just no to weed, it's a drug. It's always been frowned upon. And my step grandfather has arbitrary, I think I said the right word, arthritis, some kind of really painful arthritis. And one Christmas I surprised him with this cannabis infused like oil or like balm, and I didn't tell him it had weed in it because I was like, he won't use it. He ended up using it, and like months later calling me and was like, hey Lacey, he was like, I've looked everywhere. He's like, I've gone to my doctor, I've taken it into my doctor, I've even tried to go to the local dispensary. He's like, I have tried, nothing works like that does. He was like, do you think you can go get me another one? Like, I would never ask you if I wasn't desperate. And I was like, I love stories like that because he was like so against it, and it like actually worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that transition for you.
Yeah. So
what for you too?
How old were you when you started using cannabis versus Advil?
So that I had tried weed a couple times in high school just like for fun, and then I took a break from it until it was like 2015. I started using it. 2014 or 2015. I went to a friend's house at night, and I was like, I'm gonna smoke, yeah, whatever. And then it helped me sleep through the night. And I always had like really horrible, vivid dreams where I would like remember the emotions more than the visuals, and I'd wake up just like in sweat, like anxiety, like everything, like heavy breathing, and I'm like, I don't even know what I just woke up from. I don't even feel rested. So then I smoked and went to sleep, and I was like, I just slept through the whole night. That was nice. And so then I was like, wait, I'm gonna start using this for sleep. And then I was going to the gym with my friend. She convinced me to start going with her like every day. And the pain was too much, but I knew I needed to move. Like the doctors were always like, keep moving, keep the joints moving. And so then I started, I actually ended up getting a gravity bong at my house, and I would hit the gravity bong and then go to the gym. And then before school, I would smoke and go to school so I could sit through class and retain information, everything. And my GPA went up like a whole 1.5 points. Like I started like feeling more healthy and fit. I was eating regularly again. Like I was just like, this is actually working for me. But of course, like my family didn't understand it at the time, or my parents didn't. And I was ashamed of that. And then where I was in Delaware, it wasn't decriminalized yet. And so then that's when I started looking out in California, and I was like, I think I need to move out there at some point to study this more. And so then in 2018, I was able to connect with a dispensary out here, and then gave myself like a month's notice, and I just moved. And I was like, I need to figure this out. I need to try all these strains. I need the good stuff. I need to stop buying from dealers. Like I need to go to dispensaries and talk to people. And so working with the delivery dispensary was helpful because I got to actually like talk to patients and meet other people with fibro and meet other people using it. And so yeah, it started helping me with nausea, headaches, the chronic pain, like soreness with my muscles and my joints, and allowing me to sleep, and then also allowing me to socially interact, because I would be so hyper focused and self-conscious of my body and my anxieties and everything. But then when I would smoke, I was like, oh, I don't have to like be drinking to get along with people. Like alcohol was never really that appealing to me socially. And so then it was like nice when I found my stoner buddies and I got to just like smoke. And I was like, as long as I smoke, I can do anything.
Yeah. Are your parents really against weed? Is that what it is for religious purposes?
Yeah, they're more legalistic about it. So they've become more understanding about it, especially since I moved here. And then the more that they've learned about my journey with it and how it's helped me. And then meeting other friends and stuff of theirs that like have been using CBD and stuff, like they've been understanding that it is a thing that people are trying out. And yeah, so it was nice to be able to explain to them, especially like when I explained the science of it, and just like how like I try to put it in Christian terms, like God gave us these bodies, and these bodies on earth, like we have connections to the nature around us, and we need to utilize that nature in order to have our healthiest form. And like God wants that health for us. Like he doesn't want us to be miserable, and he doesn't want us to be using chemically man-made things as much as what he's already grown for us. And so I always change the term God and stuff in my head to the universe, but to talk to them, I'm always like, how can we work this together?
Wait, so, I need to know.
Yeah.
The Bible doesn't mention weed, right? Or am I just...
There's a burning bush at one point, but...
Is that...
I'm not sure.
It's just like, we do even know anymore.
Well, it's just like, at what point did weed become so bad in society? I mean, I obviously, like, I can look up the history, but, like, I'm like, why is it so, especially prevalent in the Christian church? There's just like, no drugs. But taking something chemically made is like, there's a pill for everything. You know what I mean?
Because the doctor writes a script, suddenly it's okay.
So than just, like, stupid. Like,
I think you can literally grow your own medicine. Like,
you can.
Same with like shrooms and stuff. It took me a while to like explain that to other people too, in the Christian community that I grew up with. Like, But now it's like when I talk openly about it, other people that I grew up with will reach out to me and they're like, I'm so glad that you're mentioning this because like my family doesn't understand, my siblings don't understand, but like you did this even though you grew up this way. And it's like, I'm gonna do what's best for me.
It feels very freeing, right? Yeah.
Well, as far as like major depressive disorder, like how are you treating that?
So I tried out different antidepressants, and I felt like they helped to a degree. It kind of numbed me out, and I felt like it wasn't really helping my self-awareness. And then, so when COVID started, that was when I got myself like a microdosing kit. I just ordered a bunch of stuff off Amazon.
Microdosing
and was
what?
able, Psilocybin mushrooms.
Okay.
So I would grind them down, turn them into capsules, and just use those instead of antidepressants because I felt like they would help me. I'd only done bigger doses before that.
Yeah.
But whenever I've done psychedelics, I get to, the first time I did acid, I had 10 hours of no pain. And that was the first time since I was 12 years old. I was like 19 or 20 at the time. And so that was a really big game changer for me because I was like, there is something to this. Like,
wow.
I'm feeling freer and I was able to paint so much. I was able to create so much whenever I would do acid. I was able to connect with people. I was able to move around without overthinking it. So yeah, that led me to microdosing because I was like, if this is what happens on the big dose is what happens with a little bit, it's helping me out and to set more intentions with myself. So I started microdosing probably about a year and a half ago, or a little over a year ago. And that really helped me out. And I felt like it, the antidepressants, would kind of numb my emotions. And I'd be able to be like, I'm sad right now. That sucks. But with microdosing, I'd be like, I'm sad right now. Where is this coming from? Like, what memory is like peeking up? Like, what's the smell reminding me of? Like, what is this movie that's coming up in my head? What is that? Like, there's significance to these thoughts that come through our head. And so it got me to like empathize with myself and to actually like just see my depression and my anxiety from a different perspective and actually explore it.
Do you prefer microdosing on LSD or mushrooms more?
Mushrooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you still microdosing? Like, what is it? Okay. Do you take it every day?
Right now I take them every other day.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's actually, if you're interested, there's this app called Quantified Citizen.
Okay.
And it's by Paul Stamets, who is like Mushroom Daddy. He's like the one that knows everything.
Wait, I think I've heard of him. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds hot.
Mushroom Daddy.
Mushroom Daddy.
He has this great app called Quantified Citizen, and you go on and it's an anonymous app, but it all goes towards research for microdosing and all different types of psychedelic things because there's a lot of under the table research going on towards like the MAPS is the one other place. And I went to maps.com once. That's wrong. It's maps.org. And so Quantified Citizen, you go in and you click which drug you took, the dosage you took, and then they have little games and little quizzes on there and stuff that you can take like as the weeks you go throughout it. So you can kind of like see your progress and it goes towards anonymous research.
Yeah, there's like companies I've seen and heard of around here that sell like capsules for microdosing. Like for 3 months, you can do it every day. And one of my friends has actually done it, and I'm trying to get in there because I would love to do that.
Yeah.
And I really want to start mixing them with like turmeric and like ashwagandha and different other like natural resources because I think that like that's kind of the future of medication for me at least is just like using
I think it's
those
going in that
resources.
direction. Yeah. Damn. Well,
I
what
love
about
this so far.
well, I know that you're doing like not doing, but what about like ketamine treatment? Which one is that being used for? Is that just like overall?
So, I'd first heard about ketamine therapy in 2019. I was working with the Lapidus Clinic, which is an incredible holistic clinic based in Avila Beach, California. So my therapist there had recommended Spravato, which is the company that they're under Johnson & Johnson, and they create the ketamine nasal spray. So if you go to Spravato and you go to find a location and stuff, you can find ketamine clinics around you. And there's so many of them that you wouldn't even think in different states that you wouldn't think would maybe be into that, but they are.
Wow.
And so that's like a good resource that helped me out. And then I ended up there was some complications with I forget what happened, but basically I ended up going to Delaware for a while. And so then while I was there for those 10 months, I was like, I'm going to look into ketamine therapy again. And so then I looked up on the Spravato website, found one in my Delaware area, and then I researched a bunch of the clinics in the area anyway to make sure I was going to the right one. And so actually I have a blog post on my website, faithandsoul.org, and it's like a whole blog post about ketamine for depression and fibromyalgia. And so there's 2 ways to take ketamine clinically. There's the nasal spray and the what's the word? When they inject it, the injection. So
Injectables.
the injectables. And so I looked into that, and it was an 8-week program. The first 4 weeks you get 2 days a week you go in and you get 84 milligrams of nasal spray. And then for the last 4 weeks, you just do it once a week. And then after that, it's by maintenance. So then they decide if you need it every week or every other week from then on. Typically people do more than the 12 sessions. But I moved states, and I turned 26, so I got kicked off insurance, so I'm going to figure that out. But
So this is covered by insurance?
It was, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's $10 an appointment.
Oh, wow.
Which is insane, because the injections are typically $500 per appointment, and then the ketamine nasal spray without insurance is hundreds of dollars, but they're covered by a lot of different insurances.
Okay, well, I mean, what is ketamine actually? Like, what is that?
Yeah, what's the history of it? Well, actually, first, so you're not doing it now, right?
Not at this moment.
Not at this moment. But is that because of like the insurance thing that you're talking about?
So my last session was, I think, the 2nd week of June.
Okay.
So I did it all through April and May, and then my last session in June, and then I moved.
What was the results like? Did that work?
I think I got years of therapeutic benefit within 2 months. So the first 2 sessions, I was kind of silly because I was like, I have complex PTSD, so I'm always trying to think like 10 steps ahead. I'm like, what could go wrong? What could go right? Like all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this ketamine and I'm going to be aware. Like I'm going to have my sketchbook in front of me. I'm going to have my notebook. Like I'm going to just like have all this stuff in front of me so that I know what I'm doing. And so I made a bunch of drawings that day and I had a lot of fun with that. But the thing I noticed most was I didn't have anxiety. I was confident. I was sure of myself. It was a very unfamiliar like serenity and empathy that I didn't ever feel towards myself before. And I was like enjoying hanging out with myself. And like I have a very codependent background and just like a lot of codependent tendencies. So it was nice to be like, wow, I feel independent. I feel like I like me. I like what I'm doing. I like these choices. Like, and then the next session I came in and I tried to take it down a notch. I was like, if I don't want to draw, I don't need to draw. I can just lay here. I can just breathe. And then the next couple of sessions, I just made it very, another thing that I would do was I had 2 sheets of affirmations that I would bring in with me. And at the start of the session after the 3rd nasal spray, I would just, because you have to take 3 sessions of them, like squeeze them up your nose. And then, so then for the 15 minutes I was kicking in, I would sit there and just read these affirmations to myself and just be like, I am kind, I am powerful, I am capable, like I am all of these things, and just try to, and I didn't believe them for the first 4 sessions. It really didn't resonate. And then it started to. And it just really showed me that like I had been lacking empathy for myself for a very long time. And the way that I would see other people, I would always see people and be like, oh, I want to thank them. I want to hug them. I want to like admire them. I want to celebrate them. Like I'd let go of a lot of bitterness towards other people, but I was hoarding all of this bitterness towards myself for no reason, because that's just what the brain does.
Yeah. So like, because I'd only ever seen ketamine at a party.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we've never done it, but I didn't, or did you?
No, someone came up to me and I had never seen it before, because I think you've seen it in powder form, right?
Yes.
I've seen it in the nose spray.
I didn't
and
even
I
know
was
that was a
wondering, I
thing.
don't even know how they got that. Maybe they were prescribed
people make
it
it themselves. Like, people just buy nasal spray bottles. I saw a couple friends do that one time, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna join in, but because I've been nervous about it, so I just wanted to stick to the clinical stuff. But,
yeah.
Isn't it like a horse tranquilizer or no?
Yeah.
What is it? What is it?
I don't really understand that side of it, but overall it's a dissociative. So like acid and shrooms, those are hallucinogenic psychedelics. Ketamine and I forget what the other one is, but it's a dissociative. So you you kind of like, people will have out of body experiences. Like the first time that I did it was actually an injection in a hospital, because I had gone there for pain in like my upper right abdomen, and they did a bunch of tests, and then I said I didn't want painkillers, and they're like, well, in the meantime of the test, you need something. And I was like, okay, I'll try something. And then they gave me ketamine injection, and I zoomed out of my body to like the top of the hotel room, and I was like watching myself, and I was so the only thing I could get out of my
like
head was
DMT.
like, I was like, I'm overwhelmed. But yeah, it was very similar to DMT experiences, like some of my sessions were, but that one was just like, I had no idea what to expect. I'm in a hospital room for like cramps. Like I didn't know that it was gonna be like that. Like that was a whole experience.
You can't drink on it, right?
I wouldn't recommend that at all. Yeah, you definitely shouldn't drive on it. When you go to the ketamine appointments, they make you you have to be picked up by somebody else, because you're not allowed to drive that day. And so, yeah, it's, I would say if you've ever done Xanax, there was very similar feelings to that, of just like the anxiety relief, just like all the anxiety pathways are just gone.
How long does it last in the body?
For me, the 84 milligram sessions lasted about an hour. It was like an hour long. I wouldn't say like a trip, because that's like a whole thing, but I would say it was an hour-long experience. Is the way that you feel like after like a psychedelic trip very similar? You know, like the next day you're like high on life, and you're like have a new mindset, a new look. Is that kind of similar? Because for me it was. Okay. Yeah, I would say at least 9 out of the 12 sessions, especially after the first 3, I started having very euphoric afterglow effects, and feeling one of the things that was restored for me was hope. And I didn't have that before, and so I reached a lot of clarity when it came to my own trauma, generational trauma, just like seeing things in a different light, reflecting on things. I would bring pictures in with me and like journals and stuff to like reflect on and like see it from a different perspective of not having those bitter things, and just being better, not bitter, and like reframing those memories. And yeah. So this is primarily for major depressive disorder, this treatment. And then, okay, because my ex has bipolar disorder and depression and anxiety. And I remember, I don't know if he did this or not. I think that his therapist recommended ketamine, and he was like, no. But what's the other one that has like lithium? Mm-hmm. Did anyone ever recommend that to you or anything? No. I haven't been recommended lithium. Okay. But I've been recommended Xanax, but not lithium. Okay. It's another one that people just like, they don't know why it works, but it works or something like that for some people. So I wasn't ever sure. But how is this kind of like, or can children do these treatments? Not that I know of. Yeah, I don't really know about that part. Could you only do the ketamine in a facilitated, controlled environment with a therapist, or could you take this home with you? So right now there's actually, I saw one website that's doing ketamine at-home therapy, especially during COVID and stuff, because a lot of those treatments and clinical trials got backed up. So there are some places around the states that are allowing those types of transfers with your doctor. But the one that I got involved with, they had to call my pharmacy and everything and organize it with them, and then they would hold on to it, and I would have to sit in their clinical office for 2 hours. So yeah, they the one that I was in, they just had like a chair for me and stuff and a nicely lit room, but they're upgrading it to like lazy boy chairs and all this like relaxation vibes and stuff, and I was like, wow, I came too early, but that's fine. I brought my fuzzy blanket. Yeah, because we brought on a lawyer a couple months ago, and she was talking about the future of psychedelics in the pharmaceutical industry. Yeah, and she was saying, she talked a little bit about ketamine, but she was saying like as far as mushrooms, you would have to go into a controlled environment to take them, especially at first. So it kind of sounds similar to your experience with taking ketamine in an office or a room. Yeah, and it's also a very low dosage compared to what they would give like for the injection. So even though I reached out to the places that were doing injections, I would ask them like, do you recommend I skip the nasal spray trial or go straight to injection? And they were like, because of financial reasons, I would recommend just going through with what you can with insurance. And then if you feel like you still need more, then and it's like doing positive for you, then you can move up and get a higher dosage from us and do that. But the big hesitancy there is the financial aspect. And I wrote in my blog post about like how the companies that are trying to get these ketamine trials through, like they have to pay so much money just to even get it reviewed. And so then to have people willing and able to have somebody drive them there and back 2 days a week, to have a clinic nearby them, to have 2 days off of work a week just for that, like it's a lot to find for people to find viable clinical trial people.
Yeah.
Stuff. So you'll go in and you'll do like 3 sprays between 15 minutes each spray.
Yeah. So I would go in, they give me a sheet to fill out. It was like a 1 to 10 sheet of rating my feelings and things. So it was like, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling like anxious? Are you feeling guilt, remorse, like different things that they would tally up, and then I have a score. And then they bring that, and I get a counseling session with the doctor there, and I just go over the questions. One of the questions that they ask on there is they ask a couple questions about like suicidal ideation and suicidal risk, and if you have a plan. So that's one of the things they made sure to ask at that office, which I really appreciate. I think that like suicidal awareness should be way more open, especially in those clinical settings. And so then we'd go over those questions, and I go to the room and I do the first nasal spray, and then the nurse walks out, or takes my blood pressure and then walks out, comes back 5 minutes later for the second spray, and then walks out and comes back for the third spray. And then I have the 2 hours to myself, and the nurse would come in every 15 to 20 minutes and take my blood pressure, but that was it. And like sometimes I'd be like slumped out on the chair, sometimes I'd be like in the middle of a yoga pose. Like one time she walked in on jumping jacks. Like it was just like I would be doing all different types of stuff. She was like, "You're probably one of my most active patients," and I was just like, "Well, that's good to hear. I'm not like usually a very active person, so like it was a compliment."
Is it because you were like testing out, like, does this hurt?
Yeah, honestly, I would be like, "Wait, this doesn't hurt. This doesn't hurt. Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And I would be in the room like, "Oh, I could spin around," and like also like hugging myself was very therapeutic, because it was like I was physically numb, so I would just be like, "Oh my god, like it feels like a hug from somebody else." Like,
how long would you be numb?
Things like that. Definitely like about 45 minutes of physical numbness that just gave me relief. And I've read online, like I follow a lot of Reddit pages about different psychedelics and stuff, and people are like, "Oh, I can't move on ketamine. I just slump into a couch." But like for me, it gives me an energy boost, because I'm like, I don't have pain. Like I can move. I can do what I want.
So and that's like, okay, because a lot of people that go in there, they're just dealing with the depression side of things. They're not dealing with,
Yeah.
Okay, so this is helping the major depressive disorder and the fibromyalgia.
Mm-hmm. It's helping me, cope with the ongoing pain symptoms. Yeah.
What all things do you have to do to get approved for the ketamine nasal spray? Can anyone really?
Anybody can sign up for them. The insurance approval, most of the places that I called, they said that they wouldn't let you have a first appointment until they knew all of the insurance stuff was covered, because they don't want people overpaying for it. So that was really cool to hear from the offices and the front desk people, that they were like, "Yeah, we're not going to like screw you over and send you $1,000 bill, like especially if you're not approved yet." Like they're like, "You can't see the doctor at all until we have all of this figured out."
Yeah.
So it's important, I think, to find a clinic that will do all of that background work for you, because you as the patient shouldn't be going through all of that insurance stress.
Right. Yeah. Well, dealing with insurance and everything, and knowing that it helps you and you're not able to do it right now, I guess, like, is it hard to not, I guess 2 questions. One, is it hard to not get addicted to ketamine? Is it even addictive, I guess? And then does it make you want to like find it, or like what, like if it's so relieving, like?
Yeah,
because people have it.
The microdosing in the meantime has been a huge help. I think when I started it, I knew I was going to be moving to California. And so I knew I had kind of a time limit to make the most out of those 8 weeks, and to do what I could and bring my therapy books, bring my journals, bring my art, like do all that stuff, and think of like, what type of intentions do I want? What type of habits am I trying to grow out of and grow into? What type of things are serving me? Which ones aren't? Like, what kind of conversations do I need to be having with my community? Like, just being more intentional about what I want to do to heal from this, because it's like I feel like I'm one of those people that like is able to give advice and stuff, but then not always follow it myself. And then like that was really like triggering for me to learn like this past year, and to be like, I really need to hold myself accountable for what I envision for myself and what I think is best for me, and stop thinking of what's best for others. Like I have to if I love myself well, then I'll be able to love others better.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I love that.
I want to know who's like your support system? Like who, like, you know, like who's been along this journey with you to kind of like, that you can kind of like have a shoulder to like lean on or help you?
It's been a variety of people. I would say that throughout the last like 6 years, like friends have become my family kind of thing, because me and my family did have differences that we had to work through. And then my parents have really done their best to look out for me and try to understand, but we just come from such different backgrounds. And but yeah, I think just like remembering that like there's always new opportunities for friends and connections. And like with growing up internationally, I was always reaching out like through social media and like meeting people and being like, well, maybe I'll know them for a week, maybe I'll know them for a year. Like I never expect people to stand around or stick around, which does lead to a lot of abandonment issues, but I've used it to my advantage of being like, I'm adaptable. Like the universe put them in my world for this time for now, and like that's good. If they're not there later, that's okay. Like as long as they're doing okay. So I've had like various friends that have been really strong support system for me throughout the years. And then being able to grow with my parents and family this past year has been really encouraging, because I didn't know if I would have that connection with them again.
So they're cool now with all of this?
Yeah, I talk very openly with them about psychedelic psychotherapy. They know I'm a big advocate for it, and
yeah, that's good that they're like coming around, because like I mean it's
they're like we're not gonna do it, but we get that you
well it's like
my mom says that too. I'm like, I'm not asking you to.
I'm just like, it's quite literally like relieving pain and helping heal you. You know what I mean? Like you're not just like going wee. Maybe you are, because like we'd go wee a lot. Like, you know, in your case,
I almost kind of love it that like super religious parents will have kids that this has to happen, so then they are like forced to understand it, and like hopefully just like it's just like forcing expansion, you know. And otherwise they'd have this one opinion about it, and hopefully it's just 2 more people out there that finally don't look at it that way. And I just feel like we need all those people that we can get, honestly. But I guess so. Is it hard to date and have relationships with people, like being like, I mean, because I feel like, you know, the best way to describe this is to be in constant pain. Has that like, and then to go through these like therapies and stuff, have you lost friends from this or relationships?
Yeah, absolutely. It's throughout the years, it's like I always have to have these different mantras in my head. Like some friends are for a reason, some are for a season. And like when it comes to finding love, like I don't want like some half-ass shit. Like I want it to be passionate. I want it to be growing. Like I want to be growing with everybody around me. So it's like when there's a lot of people in the chronic pain community I've connected with, and then it's like we're on different levels of self-care where like there's like some of them might be in the stage of like the self-pity and the self-hate, and it's like I can't surround myself with people who are hating themselves, because then I'll get back in those patterns of doing that for myself. And it's like I hope the best for them and everything, but it's like important to learn those boundaries of like holding your distance and being like, well, maybe I just need more time alone while they're healing, and different things like that. And with relationships this past year, dating, it definitely puts a different standard in my head of like I need somebody that is open to my symptoms and how they come up and how outspoken I need to be sometimes. And like, I just think other friends that have been in chronic pain had to talk about chronic pain in their relationships. It's like their partners will be like, oh, well, I don't know if I'd like be able to sit in the hospital with you if like you got really sick. Like I don't know if I'd be able to go to those things with you. And like hearing that from other people made me in fear of even getting close to other people. And opening up about it. And it's because it's like, you feel like a burden. Like you feel like there's always this worry that they'll have to have, or like this trigger they're going to have to look out for. And it's like, I don't want people to overthink when they're around me. I just want them to be cozy, and like, but I'm never cozy. So it's like, but I figured it out, and it's just like learning to be open from the start and to own it and to be like, this is something that happens to me, but I'm not like letting it ruin my day. It's just like, I know like I have to look out for this for myself. And like, one of the things that is a big like symptom for me is like fainting, and like that happens occasionally, and like that became really scary. And it was just like, because it was related to the PTSD, and when my anxieties build up, then sometimes my brain just shuts off. And so that was just like something that made me feel like I couldn't really be alone with a stranger, or like I couldn't open up to them about it, because then they'd be worried or they'd be like nervous around me. And so yeah, it takes a lot of just like opening up and like being open to that reassurance from friends and from family and from partners, and just being like, just let it out there and see how they respond. If they respond negatively, it's like one of the mantras I always repeat in my head is like, those who matter don't mind, those who mind don't matter. And it's just like, this is my life experience, and if you want to be a part of it, that's cool, but if you are confused or triggered by it, like, take your space, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
so do you have a lot of friends, or not, I don't know about a lot, but do you have a lot of friends that have chronic pain and all that? So
yeah.
How did you just meet them through what?
Through social media, I was able to connect with a lot of different chronic pain people, and then through modeling, I actually met some people just on a whim of like, we'd be doing a photo shoot together, and I'd bring up Fibro, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, I have POTS," or "I have lupus,"
what is
or
POTS?
"I have this," and that POTS is I don't know if I could accurately describe it, but I know that there is fainting involved in that one, and you have to get like a tilt table test for it and a couple other things, and it's more related to it. I think that one is mainly a condition that happens in women, but I don't have much to say about that one. I won't too much. But so being able to see other people in the invisible illness chronic community and become friends with them and connect with them, especially through social media, has been helpful. And my friends in general, like even the ones who don't have chronic conditions, it's like they're just like, that's just the way you are. Like they never make me feel bad for it. Like they've always comforted me, like, and I'm always surprised. And like that's a big thing that like I learned even through psychedelic psychotherapy. Like when you're on shrooms or acid and the littlest thing happens, like your friend brings you water right when you think about drinking water, or like they put a blanket on you before bed or something. Those little things that just make you feel so wholesome and loved. Like those are the little moments that add up. And like even in like regular life when you're not tripping, it's just like noticing like, oh, like I can't like go up and down stairs like comfortably a lot, and so my friends will like look out and be like, oh, like do you want to walk down the ramp with do you want me to walk down the ramp with you, or do you want me to take the elevator? Like little things like that I'll just be like, oh, they were thinking of me. Like they're being mindful. And it's like those little things that like really help out. Or like I'll be at the grocery store with a friend and she's like, oh, like do you want me to grab that from the fridge? And like because she knows I would rather not walk over there. Like but I don't like, I really try to not like burden people with it, but then I recognize like if it is something that's going to trigger me, like my friends would rather me voice it than not, and like they care to understand and know. So
would you say psychedelics started a spiritual journey for you?
Definitely. It definitely helped me deconstruct. And I was deconstructing even before that. But when I tried psychedelics for the first time in like 2015, and then in 2018 when I learned about religious trauma syndrome, that was when it all clicked for me, and I was like, oh wow, it's okay that I'm so scarred by my experience. Like other people can have positive Christian experiences, whatever. I can't relate to that, but I understand it, and I understand there's all these different outlets and things, and so it's like with psychedelics it helped me just understand where I was at, and that like I just want to like I was named Faith because of religious reasons, obviously, but I'm like, I think it was to restore my own faith in the universe, faith in humanity. Like I try to like reframe these things, and it's just more of like I just try to
also with other people too, because I'm sure people are gonna hear this and be like,
there's faith,
like you know, and like hope, because like I'm sure that I mean I don't know, I guess like would you recommend this for everybody?
I honestly would. I think, like, when it comes to psychedelics and stuff, I think, like, acid and shrooms, it might not be for everybody. And I think a big part of that is, like, environment and people and stuff, and what mindset you're in will be amplified no matter what. With ketamine, I think everybody needs to check out every once in a while. Like, there's this one quote by, I think it was, like, Timothy Leary or something. He's, like, a psychedelic advocate, and he was like, to go out of your head, you have to go out of your mind. And I think with ketamine, it really helps to take away the anxieties, just see where you're at, who you are, and what you can learn from that, and where you can go from there. It's just like, I don't know. I think it's a good experience, and I definitely recommend it. Yeah.
I would like to try it here, like sober, like not at a party. Like I don't want, because I feel like
what's the difference between that and DMT?
So with my experiences with DMT, that was definitely a therapeutic drug for me also. But DMT is way more high on the visuals. Ketamine is not big on the visuals. It's, or at least for me, it wasn't. But I did have some parallels, but I felt like DMT was much more of like when I smoke DMT, like I get like a hug from the inside. It's like this big, warm, like wholesomeness, and then it's like I transport to another dimension. But with ketamine, it was like I was still aware of where I was, and I just wasn't attached to it. So it's like I felt like if I wanted to go somewhere else in my mind, I could. Like it was like, but I at the same time I didn't. I don't know.
Wow.
Does that make sense? Like sometimes I was able to see lots of visuals and the pictures, and like even like just like closing my eyes and like taking deep breaths, I would like see the visuals of my breath going in and out, and like there would just be different things that were like relaxing and helped me with mindfulness. So.
I'm just so afraid to do something that, like, I've never done cocaine. Like, I've never done anything that I thought.
Cocaine is like,
well, no, I'm saying, well, I don't know anything about, I just don't do anything that I feel like I could get addicted to.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know enough about ketamine, but I see the motherfuckers doing it all the time. And I'm like, are y'all addicted to this? So it's like, I'm just like scared at like parties, but also these guys are like.
I would try it in an intimate setting first.
Well, of course. I just don't want to do something one time and me feel like I want to do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? So, because I just don't know anything about ketamine. Or, like ketamine. I just don't know.
Do you, have you ever experienced dissociation?
Like, what? Explain that.
You have a lot. So, like, no, I don't think so.
Dissociation, it can be different for a lot of people. One of the most helpful ways I've found to describe it to people around me is like, for example, one time I was at a restaurant with my friend, and I got out of the car and I thought I was fine, and then I checked out, and I was going through the muscle memory of life, like walking into the restaurant, but I couldn't think of what restaurant it was, what food was in front of me, like all this stuff. We were at Panda Express, like the most simple, like this is just rice, orange chicken, but none of those terms could come to my head. And he was like, hey, like, what do you want to order? And I'm just standing there like, I don't know. And it's like, I don't know what's going on. It's not even I don't know what to order. It's just I'm out of it. And it feels like to me like he's asking me questions, but he's 200 to 500 feet away. And so it's like almost like a whisper, like not even like,
I don't think I've
like
ever
I can't really
that.
like, I could tell he was there, but not really. And I felt like if I spoke, I wouldn't be heard. Like it was just like this complete dissociation from being acknowledged as a person. And it's like, it comes out of nowhere and it can be so overwhelming. And so with ketamine, it kind of retrieved like a sense of control over dissociation, because I would go in the session knowing I was going to dissociate from my brain, but knowing there was no surrounding pressures for me to be adapting to the environment, the people, the situation. Like all those doctors in there know I'm on drugs in a room alone. Yeah. Like I can do whatever.
Wow, it's like
so
safe.
The safe environment I think is especially important. Being reassured that you don't have anywhere to go, anywhere to be, anything to take care of.
Anyone to talk to.
Yeah, keeping the phone off you, like. Just I would play like lo-fi beats and stuff and just like keep my phone away from me.
But do you have the desire that whenever you're done with it, you're like, I want to do that again?
I didn't get addictive.
Okay, that's kind of what I was wondering, because like that's how we feel with mushrooms and LSD. Like when you do it, I'm good for a while. Like I don't need to like do it tomorrow, So that's that's why I continue.
Properties in it.
Okay, cool. Because that's what I was wondering. But what I've known of ketamine is I've just only seen it be a party drug. Yeah. I've never seen it be for therapy. So like it's good to know that it's just not that I was wrong.
It's the people, not the drug.
It's the people. So
one of the things I was going to mention is that like I think some people can get addicted to dissociation, and so they're more addicted to that feeling rather than the ketamine essentially.
Okay, that's good to know.
But I mean, it brings that feeling. But like people who aren't very emotionally aware, like I have some friends I know of who have been who have like told me that they took too much of it too often because they didn't want to face their feelings, and it would dissociate it from them. Kind of like how some people will, like, I think Xanax is more like made to be addicted to or whatever, whereas ketamine, like, there's some properties in it that aren't as addictive, but you can't abuse any drug, honestly.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's good to know.
I think it's like
That's
when you
interesting.
become addicted to something, to be aware of like what is the feeling or experience I'm addicted to, and then you can kind of go from there and pick it apart.
I wouldn't be so worried about that, just because it's like I'm never like running from anything. We talk about emotions and feelings all the time, so
Yeah, me and my friends
I like to think about them.
Like, I love talking about feelings.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on that would be beneficial to anyone listening?
I think like I mean, it's kind of dark, but I think it's like good to like spread awareness about like the suicidal ideation and things that come with major depressive disorder, and just like there is like being aware of how those intrusive thoughts, like, they're valid even if you don't have like a set plan, or even if you haven't had an attempt. Like, those build up thoughts and those depressive thoughts that really build up in clumps and like become overwhelming, it's important to be aware of those and learn to process them. And I felt like ketamine gave me an opportunity to process that, because I was able to sit beside myself basically and see like, you are you are a person worthy of life and living a full life and living, and like, you have so much to offer and you have all this stuff. And so there, I brought these like notes that I'd written one of my ketamine sessions. I was like, I need to write thank you notes to myself, and I need to I need to just like write these down before I forget. And I like grabbed a bunch of sticky notes off the office table, and I was like, I hope it's okay, use all your sticky notes. But yeah, like with suicidal awareness, it's just we're going through a lot of depression waves in America right now, especially, and in the world with COVID and everything. And like, I feel like people kind of dismiss that goes on. And I really had no hope before my ketamine therapy, and it was kind of like one of my last legs of like trying, because for me personally, I had a plan that was overwhelming in my head, that I would leave this earth at like 26, and now I'm 26, and I'm a few months through the year and stuff, and it's just like, hey, I can't believe that I was in that mind space for so long, for years, and then I got the opportunity to grow out of it. But yeah, just recognizing different things, like when I was in that really bad headspace, my 25th birthday, my friends were like they were at the house with me, and I was so depressed. I would always get depressed around my birthday. I was always like, why would I gotta celebrate this? Like, why am I celebrating me? Like, what's so good about my life? What's so special about me? Like, a lot of self-pity shit that like my brain would just be intrusive about. And then it's like they stayed over till midnight, and I was sitting in the kitchen like washing dishes and stuff, and then like they all said happy birthday to me, and I was just like completely checked out, and I was like, why are they celebrating me? Like, why is this happening? Like, I want to kill myself next year, but like now I've made friends, and now I got to stay away around for them. Like, all of my reason for sticking around was for other people, so that I wouldn't make them sad if I left. And then now like my reason has changed to being around for me, and there's the benefit of having like relationships and other people and stuff, but like to actually grasp and resonate with like the affirmations that I say to myself now and the things I hear from other people, it's been a big game changer for my mental health. And I think just being aware of that kind of stuff is
wow
Wow. Wow.
Damn,
This has been amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for educating us on this. Like, this is like so up our alley, because like we're such like big psychedelic advocates. I mean, obviously we talked a lot about ketamine, but like this is so educational. I love like the future, hopefully, of like medicine.
I hope that
people like you like giving voices to other people that like make it possible to openly talk about these things and see how normalized it can be. Yeah.
Well, I hope that, you know, I don't know how to like properly say this, but like you know, saying that like, you know, now you have this mindset that you stay alive like for you and everything like that, you're helping people like so much, and this will help people change their life and stuff like that. And I hope that maybe you can get into some type of field where you can talk and help people through that, you know, like I don't know if like therapy, like helping, just being one of those people that helped you, you know, because like I've never heard anything like this. So it's like some type of education to where you can help people would be amazing, because like you would literally change people's lives. So yeah, I mean, thank you for like coming on and talking to us about this. And
I'm curious to like maybe have you back on even later to like really talk about your experience as the years goes on, you know? I guess, but before we start wrapping this up, we have 3 very random questions of nothing to do with this. Well, kinda, maybe one. I'll let you go first.
What's your favorite way to eat or cook a potato?
Okay. I definitely... Potatoes are so good. There's so many good forms of that's really like I thought it wasn't gonna be a hard question, but that's I really like just like I do love mashed potatoes. I think that process is kind of therapeutic. Like you get to like watch them boil and then mash them down and then mix them and put the butter in. Yeah,
mashed potatoes.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so with this question, if you could be the best at this Olympic sport, summer or winter, which one would it be?
I think I'm like between like I would love to be like a gymnast type person that like does a bunch of flips and stuff. Like, if I could, that would be awesome. I love doing like contortionist stuff, so I could see myself like someday like maybe being able to do more energetic contortioning.
Like, are you really flexible?
I've been working on it, because my hypermobility, it's like my body's made to be flexible, so I need to like build it up more. But the last year and a half, I've been building that up. But yeah, and then swimming. I think swimming would be a really cool one to be good at. But
wow, I always pick synchronized swimming. I just feel like that would be sick.
What about you, Lacey?
I think I said gymnastics, but honestly, ice skating.
She's changing it now.
Ice skating is so beautiful. Like
I'm just afraid of the blades. Like I can't. I'm like, wait, no.
Ice skating is just so elegant.
Yeah. Okay. What's the next one?
Oh yeah. Would you rather trip psychedelics in the desert or smoke weed on the beach?
Trip psychedelics in the desert.
Yeah, I was just curious about this because I'm like, I mean, you can do both. We've been talking about all of it. I
have like a daydream of going to Joshua Tree and doing psychedelics.
Yeah, you have to.
Trying to talk to aliens and things.
You have to.
There's some hot spots around there.
That would be
really good.
Damn, let us know if you do that too.
I never thought about the alien thing, but when I've tripped on LSD out there, literally the stars are insane. Like I went outside and it was just like a ton of shooting stars. I felt like I was in the Milky Way. Yeah. And then a couple hours later I came back out and it was fine. And I was like, what did I just see?
Really? Did I imagine a galaxy?
Yeah. Damn, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you for coming on. Where can our listeners find you?
So my Instagram is FML_literally. Those are my initials.
That's well, also that just like kind of funny. Hits different now that I know everything that you've gone through.
FML literally.
Fuck my life, literally. Damn.
Gotta troll cope through it. And then I have a website that I'm gradually building. I want to have more resources on there for like chronic pain patients and do more like outreach work with like helping out other people.
See, this is what I'm saying.
So, that website is faithandsoul.org because .com was taken by a church. But faithandsoul.org. I have a couple blog posts on there now, and I'm hoping to build more on there. And then I also do freelance art, so I have an Etsy page that's called Faith and Soul.
Cute.
And yeah, I'm hoping to do more stuff with that on Instagram and Etsy, and
I will link it all.
Support our girl.
Yeah. Well, damn, thank you so much for coming on, and guys, thank you. Oh well, hold on. Lacey's
intro or outro. Thank you guys so much for making it to the end. It means so much to us. Please let us know what you thought. We would love to hear your opinions and perspectives. You can find us online at Here We Go on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can watch the episodes. Please give us a like and a rating. That would mean so much to us.
Yeah, we're curious what you think about this because it's mental health.
Yeah, well,
it's mental health. So yeah, but okay, guys.
And on that note, we will see you in our next episode.
Bye.
Love you.
Oh God.